This is Anthony Edwards to the Phoenix Suns crowd.
It's DX.
A DX from Tom. It was 3-0 when he did this. In Phoenix. Series is not over.
Wow.
DX comes out.
Wow.
Anthony Edwards,
Okay.
22 years old.
That is not Jordan. That is not Jordan.
Oh, I'm sure he said that. To
Right.
everybody.
What he said? Yeah, he said it after it was over.
You guys might have heard this story about Jordan, but I was listening to Steven Jackson and somebody. Oh, it was Tyson Chandler when they was playing for the Bobcats, and Jordan came down and won with the B team against them.
Mm-hmm.
He said Steven Jackson was talking about junk, and Jordan come down and destroyed them.
Yeah.
All right, so Tom, Game 7, Cavs and Magic.
I got to hear this.
Hear what?
Whatever you got to say.
I've already said it earlier, and if you just weren't paying attention, I said that somebody's got to contribute besides Donovan Mitchell. I mean, when you have more than half the points, when you have all the points in the fourth quarter, when you're only getting 3 points from Evan Mobley, I mean, LeVert, I think, only played 6 or 7 minutes. They just didn't have anybody else contribute. So Jared Allen is supposed to be back. He's got bruised ribs. I mean, I'm saying, man, let's go. It's Game 7, right? If he's ready to go, hopefully he'll play. But
We figured it was going to go 7 when we talked last 2 weeks ago now, but
it's a pretty even series.
and
what else concerns me is how poorly they play on the road. Once you had home court advantage this series, so let's assume that you get by. You do find a way to win, which they haven't. I think it's going to be a good game. But then the next series, you're going to have to beat a good team on the road.
is Jack back?
And beating a good team on the road.
Jared Allen?
No. He didn't play last night.
No, I was wondering if he's going to be back for Game 7. That would be big deal.
They don't know. And, I think they made a good point last night, too, when the guy, basically gave it everything he had to end that series. And now they lost, and you got to turn around in about 36 hours, play another game. It's tough. I mean, it's gonna be tough.
I think those teams are very even, too. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're very, very even. And either one of them, as we saw, can win this game.
Yeah, I heard Cole Anthony's name being called out a lot last night because the Carolina people are happy about that.
Yeah.
They're a good young team.
Nobody cares who wins that series.
Actually, Terry, this is the big market bias bullcrap. It's like, it's all Boston and the Knicks. No, I mean that's what I think that hurts the NBA. That attitude of yours that nobody cares unless it's a big market team. That's the whole problem with the NBA and Major League Baseball. That's why football is so much better because it's more competitive. Like the small market teams in Cleveland and Orlando had to wait. Because if Boston had to play another game, they were going to play the 1 o'clock game. They didn't even tell them what time they're going to play. That's the problem.
That's an issue.
I mean, that's the problem. It's like there are like Terry. You could tell by the way he talks, has never been to Boston. So I mean, it's just like people like you that have no connection to the city, no connection to the region, that pull for these teams because you saw them on television.
Chip's wearing a
and
Yankee
you just,
hat in there.
Same thing with Chip. But it's like,
that's not a Yankee hat.
I understood. It's like my brother and I can remember in the early 90s.
I can wear a Yankees hat.
We were. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that you're a victim of the machine, just like everybody else. I mean, it's just like
no.
There are people. No. There are people that.
Then
that
they wonder how come we say stuff.
You don't say anything. You just talk. You don't really say anything.
Anyway, I'll beg to differ on why he thinks I became a Yankees fan. But keep going.
Well, why did you become a Yankees fan?
It was a family tradition. My dad and my grandfather, when my dad was a kid, they would watch Saturday afternoon baseball on CBS, and CBS at the time was the primary owner of the Yankees. So
you made my point for me. Are they from North Carolina? Are they from North Carolina?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. You made my point for me because they're the ones on TV. They get
okay. All right. Fair enough.
Machine.
No. I'm sorry. I'm with you. But for me, I will say that it rubbed off on me.
People in North
organically
Carolina are Atlanta Braves fans because of TBS,
yes,
not
true.
because of driving to Atlanta.
And
to
it's
watch
a little
them every
closer though than New York. And who do you share more culture with, New York City or Atlanta?
Well, that's what I was saying is that there's a ton in North Carolina.
I have some camaraderie with New
the
Yorkers
South because of watching them on TV. Like I was trying to tell you, you're right.
When I was a kid, it was I believe it was Channel 43 They had this the Cleveland Indian. You watch the Cleveland Indians because you live near Cleveland, and you grew up with them. Now I know I moved out of the market, but I hung on to my team. I could see if Terry was grew up in Boston or somewhere and then just hung on to his team, but he didn't. And like you guys, I understand you grew up blah blah blah, but at the same time, this is why you don't get to see young talent. Cole Anthony, nobody cares. Well, nobody cares because he plays in Orlando, and they're not going to give him a primetime game.
I like Kevin's point that he made last week too in regards to these games. If you've got a big marquee team that people are going to tune into regardless, whatever time they play, make them the early game. Put these other matchups as the primetime game. Give them that exposure.
Once in a while. Once in a while, I could see, okay, you got the prime time, but now you're going to have the 1 o'clock the next time.
Or balance it out. Yeah, I agree with you on that, Tom.
And just and I think the NBA doesn't do enough to develop, because people get tired of the Lakers. They get tired of the Celtics. So we're tired of it.
No, you don't.
What about I'm talking. You can be quiet. That, what about Minnesota? Oklahoma City, Orlando, Cleveland's improved. You want a more like a product that, where people know more of the names of the on players and teams that don't get all this exposure. So if you gave more exposure, people would know more about the league.
You see it in the NFL too, to an extent. The Sunday night game, the number of Sunday night games that the Giants get when they're not really competitive. The Cowboys at times, and I'm not saying they're not competitive, Terry, but the fact that they oversaturate the market in terms of
but it's not as bad in football.
I would beg to differ. I'd beg to differ.
Well, how does a team like Kansas City rise? Can that happen in Major League Baseball?
Sure, it can.
Okay.
At one year.
Okay.
But after that, they get farmed out, basically.
Well, I mean, Tampa. Tampa has organically grown themselves into a competitive franchise in the most competitive division in baseball.
Okay, well, name me 3 starters for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
Okay, I can't do that.
Okay,
Evan Longoria.
That's my point. Okay, I mean that's
but I'm not. But they're still competitive.
I'm not saying they are. But how many championships have they won, Chip?
I don't think they made it to the World Series
once. Have the Dodgers won a championship in recent?
One. They've won one. The COVID year.
So you got you have the big boys dominate in those sports, and I just don't think you're going to see a Kansas City just rise and be competitive every single year. I mean, you see Tampa Bay, but they've never been to a series, right? Never been to a World Series, or am I wrong? Tampa Bay's never been to a World Series.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's been to a series.
Have they?
Yes.
Been to one, did they not?
Did they go to one? I can't remember.
They went. Hold on, I'll let me get to work on it.
I'm trying to remember. I don't want to say, but I know that they're not. They're not the Dodgers. I mean, you turn on TV. They talk about the Dodgers, talk about the Yankees, talk about the
Red Sox. Doesn't necessarily translate into World Series championships repeatedly.
2008, they beat the White and the Red Sox to make it.
Yes.
And 2008.
Who
they lost to the Philadelphia Phillies.
That's right.
Okay. It's been a while. I couldn't.
But remember. I mean, let's look at the.
I mean, I know the big market people are always going to defend it, but I just think you'd have a better product if you gave more exposure to the Cleveland, the Orlandos, the Oklahoma Cities, the Minnesotas.
That's all they care about.
What are you trying to say, Tom? I am having a hard time understanding you because
you don't speak English.
No, do you play Sunday at 1 or do you play Sunday at 7:30? Sunday at 7:30 is prime time. So we're complaining about a team that's getting ready to play at 1 o'clock because they won't give Cleveland that spot because they don't know whether Boston's going to win because Boston's going to take that spot. So what are you trying to tell me?
I'm trying to tell you that the Bostons are always going to get the primetime game if it comes down to them and the smaller market teams, Terry. And that translates into less exposure for the smaller markets is why that you can't name any players on any other team besides Boston and LA. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. You're not developing people have knowledge of the whole league instead of just a couple of teams because people won't watch. If it's, we're not going to watch Cleveland and Orlando because we don't know the play. Well, yeah, because you don't give them enough exposure during the year. That's all. I mean, I'm
You
just
have your prime time. You was on television last night at an early hour.
because Boston.
That's the
did
only time I
not
watch it because I
play.
really don't care who wins that tournament.
Well,
It,
just
it
you,
does,
just
it's not,
you.
it does not make
It's
a
not a
difference
tournament;
to
it's
me.
a series. Okay, it's not
really?
a tournament; it's a series. But just because
That's
you don't
their,
care,
that's their series.
you don't care. That's
That's it. That's the
right in
story
line.
That's a
That's a preseason
That's
tournament.
right in line with his Michael Jordan is average and Draymond
No,
Green's a Hall of Famer. I mean, it's with all the other stupid stuff he
are
says.
like neither
It's
one of
just all
y'all
the stupid
want to
stuff you
win
say.
because
No.
you know the next round you're done.
Terry,
Terry,
it's
no,
just the
that,
stupidest thing.
yeah,
I mean, that's like
we
what
don't
you were
want to
saying.
win. We don't want
Wait
to
a
win
minute, that's
because
just
we
like
don't want the
Chip.
challenge. We don't want
That's
the
like
challenge of
Chip
playing
was
the
saying
best.
a minute ago about
I'm
when
a
he was
professional.
growing up.
I'm a professional
Wait a
athlete.
minute,
I don't want
Tom.
to play the best.
Tom,
wanna,
I didn't interview. I didn't cut you off when you
Yeah,
were
you did.
talking.
Yeah, you
I
did.
did not cut you off. So now you listen to the right side of the story. You know, because this is how it works. Like in there, Chip was talking about how he grew up and his fans. Well, when I grew up, my grandpa was Atlanta Braves fan. I listened to Atlanta all the time, but that's not who I picked. I'm a Kansas City man. Okay, when you used to watch football on television, it was Washington. So if I was going to grow up to be somebody, I'd be pulling for Washington. No, I'm not. I'm a Dallas fan. So I'm, sometimes when you talk, you get off the market somewhere, and I don't.
Market.
Get off the market.
pun intended.
I mean,
Get off
or
the
you're
market.
outside the fence.
that a-
You
is
won't
that a
come
saying?
inside to be with
I'm outside
everybody.
the fence. I'm off the
I
market.
mean,
I will say this, Terry. I grew up part of my childhood in Northeast Ohio.
I give you
hung
all
on
the
to
credit for that.
Cleveland
I give you all the credit
through all
for
the
that.
bad seasons. Cleveland, okay? Because you have a connection to that's what it's supposed to be about. You're supposed to have some kind of
We don't have a North
connection.
Carolina baseball team around here. We didn't have
Okay.
a North
But the
Carolina
Braves-
football team around
the
here until
Braves,
'95. We don't
culturally-
have a Charlotte Hornets team around here until what year they come in.
culturally,
You know what I'm
Boucher
saying? There
Morgan.
was none of that.
Well, it makes your who you pull for, Kansas City, Boston, and Dallas makes about as much sense as everything else you say. There's no consistency in it. It makes no sense.
Tom,
I'm a Kansas
we
City
didn't
man.
have none of
He's a
that in
Kansas
North
Ci-
Carolina.
He's a Kansas. How many times have you been to Kansas City?
How many times I've been to Kansas City? 3 times.
He's been to 3 in his entire
Yeah, that's right.
95-year life. He's
That's
been to
right.
Kansas City 3
I've
times.
been there 3 times.
He's been to Kansas City 3 times.
How many times have I
been
got to go?
I've been to Kansas City twice, but I'm not a Kansas City Royals
Well, I'm
fan.
proud of you for making
I mean,
it out
it's
there
just-
twice.
it's
You
just-
become in heaven.
It's just, it's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I mean,
I didn't grow up in Cleveland.
Celtics win 4-1 over
dumb.
Miami. In
Yeah,
their
thank
series.
y'all for that series, y'all. I appreciate y'all turning my team around.
Knicks wins 4-2
Yeah.
over the 76ers.
Y'all come in here talking that crap last week, and then next 3 games were absolutely blowouts.
Pacers win 4-2.
Let's see how they
over
do the rest of the playoffs without
Milwaukee
Porzingis,
Bucks.
Terry. Hold on, you're counting your chickens
They're
before they
good.
hatch.
And
They're
then-
good.
And then
Even
games,
without him.
so we got Pacers and Knicks. If that reminds you of the 90s, I don't know what else will.
All right.
yeah.
Cavs and Magic in Game 7. Winner will face Boston. Out west, the Thunder sweeps the Pelicans in 4.
That's what a number 1 seed's supposed to do.
Nuggets with a gentleman's sweep of the 7 seed, 4-1. Timberwolves with a sweep of the 6 seed, 4-0.
That surprised me. They swept them.
And then the only slightly competitive series, the Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic in the game, takes out the Clippers.
And this is when
And the
you
Clippers
can
act like a
sit
bunch
back.
of fools throughout the whole thing between Beverly and Westbrook and Kawhi sitting
Kawhi
there.
not even playing.
Well, it's what I sent out before this week. Think of all the people that are out of it. The big 3 stuff, you can forget all that now. That's done in the NBA. I don't care what you go get. No, there's no more Miami Heat having 3 guys and beat everybody else. That's not going to happen. The young generation has took this NBA over.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Even Boston's young, but I mean, you know, they're like a little above of where Oklahoma and Minnesota is. But the young generation, there's no more KD. There's no more LeBron James. There's no more Anthony Davis. We can start naming players that are not playing now. Paul George,
Tatum
Kawhi
seems old.
Leonard.
He's 26.
That's what I'm saying. But I mean, you know, you don't have none of that no more. It's all about these young guys who are like, you know, we're as good as y'all.
Thunder with Alexander. Nuggets, I don't know how old Jokic is, but they're probably the most veteran team. And everybody
Probably
forgets
are.
how
Yes.
big they are. And one of the things about the Bulls, everybody talks about them back in the day, smallest guy on the court most times was 6'6".
Ron
The
Harper.
smallest guy on the court for the Nuggets is 6'8", Jamal Murray. The point guard is 6'8".
Yep.
And nobody talks about that. Like, the whole lineup is big dudes. Like, somebody's getting a layup, like, almost every time.
You can't coach
if
size.
You pass it.
No, you can't.
Mavericks, Luka Doncic is a big dude. He's not small. And he's, 22 as well? And Anthony Edwards is 22. So, Terry, you got definitely the young guys.
Luka's a good Sunday school song. He is deep and wide.
that I guess so there, Chip.
That could be misconstrued.
Whoa, easy,
Well,
guys.
Terry and Tom had the 76ers in the Eastern Conference Finals, so they're not going to make it, boys.
That was a joke.
Tom's got Cavs in the Eastern Finals. Terry's got Boston, so that'll separate themselves. Zach and Chip got Boston. Zach's got them over the Pacers. Chip's got them over the Knicks, so you guys got different picks there. And then I got Cavs and Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. Out west, all of y'all had Denver. I had the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I wouldn't mind if you're right.
3 of us had OKC. Tom, Zach, and myself. Terry and Chip have the Dallas Mavericks in our picks.
still
So
in it.
everybody's still available except the Philadelphia 76ers in all of our picks. So we've lasted a little bit. Well, we did cheat and see 1 or 2 games in the first round before we did that. But moving on from there, well, the picks will get a lot different, and they'll probably drop like flies like we did in the NCAA tournament in that. So out west, Thunder will play the Dallas Mavericks and the Timberwolves and the Nuggets. And then in the East, of course,
Let's start today.
Somebody starts today.
Yeah, somebody starts tonight.
Let's see. Saturday, May 4th, Timberwolves and Nuggets.
That will be the
you
most
go.
fun series
7
of the
o'clock.
playoffs.
7 o'clock.
At least it's a decent start time where it's not like 9:30.
Tell you what's 51 divided by 8. 6 something?
Yeah, 6. Yeah.
He wouldn't know unless you told him.
What the?
All right.
I'm sorry he answered real quick.
He just said, "Oh yeah."
So,
Yeah.
all right, so Jokic
world?
this year averaged 25 points a game. 6 points a game came off post-ups. The next closest, Anthony Davis, scored 300 points the whole year on post-ups. That's less than 4 points a game. We are watching a different basketball than we were ever taught and shown. The second most points per game is less than 4 from a power forward. He's not even a center. And then Bam Adebayo is third at 288 points, so he's right at it. But Terry, there is no post game. By that, Jokic is the one, and he's only getting 6 points a game out of his 25.
And the worst thing about him is a lot of times he's bringing the ball up the court. You
JP,
know?
we can hear all that, dude.
Yeah.
Please turn that off.
Yeah.
He doesn't have his. Chip, tell him
Chip,
to
tell him to turn that off.
turn that off.
Sorry.
Well, anyway, back to that. So they're comparing Jokic to these old centers and stuff back in the day, and I'm like, I don't know how you compare them because like that he's 6 points. What's he going to do against the old guys when they go to the post?
Post ups don't get Instagram likes.
Like Dave Robinson, Akeem scoring 40 on him.
Yeah.
Well,
He's not holding Akeem to not 40 and 25. Just flat out. He did that. Dave Robinson. What's he going to do to Jokic?
didn't Denver sweep them this year?
Who?
The Minnesota
I
Timberwolves.
have no idea. To tell you the truth, I don't know about the matchups.
Yeah.
We know they did. We know they swept the Lakers.
That's just
so
like me. This series they go 6. If it goes 6.
It's gonna be hard. I mean, we talked about that. It's
I mean,
gonna be
I
hard to beat that
understand-
Denver team.
I understand you've got great guys and everything, but sometimes winning and how you play the game changes a lot.
It goes back to what Kevin said too. They're so big. I mean, what are you gonna throw at? Like, you only got so many tall bodies. You know, all your guys are not 6'8".
Minnesota's got a classic NBA lineup size-wise, so and you got your shooting guard. You're about to find out. Now remember,
Jokic has
Anthony-
nobody to stop him.
right? You're Anthony. What?
They got,
Terry,
they got
Rudy
Towns and they got
He
Gobert,
can't
but
do
I
it.
agree with Terry.
Now
I don't think they can
no,
stop him.
But here's-
there's no way.
but
You can only hope to
Minnesota-
contain him.
Minnesota's defense is a zone. Okay, so I've been looking and reading about this. What they do is they put Gobert in the middle as a shot blocker and they rotate around. So it's not like they're not going to be pressuring someone man to man. They like to have him roaming the baseline as opposed that in all their games that I was reading, Gobert don't actually guard Jokic until he gets down into the paint.
So that kind of prevents like a mismatch off a screen switch or something like that.
Then you got the 7-footer sitting in the lane. Wembanyama, if you're watching Spurs games, kind of does the same thing. But so that's their strategy is kind of what they do. So Terry, I don't, it might be one of those things where you just, to me, if I'm playing him, I would let Jokic shoot, score all he wants. I just don't want him throwing the cuts and everything. Be like, could y'all, the rest of y'all play some defense? Yeah. Because if y'all just play a little defense behind me, he's not going to be like when you let Brunson or whoever, the main guy, get all of his points. We know that strategy. Let them get their 40. But these other guys you can't let them go off. You can't Michael Porter Jr. get 20 and stuff like that. That's these. Jamal Murray's the big weapon. When he's healthy, they're tough to deal with because the 6'8" point guard that can shoot is just hard to deal with.
It's just hard for me to think that Rudy's going to be able to come out and guard him on three. If he's hitting threes,
I just told you he wasn't.
That's what I'm saying. You're done because that guy can't stay back. It's not Golden State where Draymond's got to stay in the middle and be your only guy on defense. Rudy Gobert is their only guy defense in the middle, and if Jokic pulls him out, back doors.
Do you not trust Cat, Terry?
Ain't no Cat in there.
Carl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, he can play. He has a good game, and then he has 3 off games of 5 or 10.
Well, Andre was complaining about Anthony Edwards not scoring in the fourth quarter or second half sometimes, messing up his bets. So, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how.
I ain't in on that betting part of it, but Andre would know.
I don't know how accurate that is, but I just wanted to get that out there. Is that if you're betting on him, you might not want to because he just might not have exactly not in the second half. Put it that way, according to Andre. I was like, well, Steph Curry never scores in the second half. He didn't used to, did he? They take him out.
I know.
That was the wildest stuff. We're up 40. We're just gonna take him out. Hey, we're done with our shooting guard for the day. All right. Any other news and notes basketball wise that we got, guys? Any of you?
We're going to find out just how good Anthony Edwards is this next series, I think. And I don't think the Timberwolves win, but I think we're going to.
What I was going to say, remember, talk about Terry, what are they going to do about Jokic? Jordan and them won 6 championships with Luke Longley, Bill Winnington, Will Perdue, and it's not about what the center does. And that was the error of centers. That was the error of centers, and they went through it. So if Anthony Edwards is who we think he is, this may be the start.
Could be
of running through. And there is no other centers. Yeah. He's the only center in the league, which I just showed you. Nobody else is posted up. So, all right, guys, we come back. We had a lot